When I called Calvin about interviewing him, he hesitated. "My path was convoluted," he said, "and I'm camera shy." Well, a convoluted career and entrepreneurial path is precisely one we wanted to feature. As to his second point, that only made me want to stick the camera in his face more. I convinced Calvin and we met up at Bi-rite Market Divisadero in the Western Addition of San Francisco, this gourmet grocery store he and his business partner had just opened in March.
This is our second store, Bi-rite Market's second store. We have a market also on 18th Street as well as a Bi-rite Creamery.
I haven't seen the first, but this new one is a feast for the eyes and a temptation for the taste bud.
Bi-rite, we pride ourselves on two things: our service that we provide and also the products we carry in our store. During the summertime, as an example, more than 70% of our produce we source directly from the farmers. So we think of our produce department as kind of the best of the farmers market. It's an exciting supermarket. It's unique, if I can say so myself. I mean, we've got ice cream that we make just a few blocks from here. We've got food that we cook in our kitchens. We've got lamb that we buy from Don Watson up in Sonoma County. It's definitely a foodie stream.
A foodie is exactly what he is. Calvin is my classmate from MBA class of 97. Many of us were looking for investment banking, consulting, or tech jobs during school, but Calvin, as I remember, was the one food guy who talked about going into the restaurant business.
Well, I've always loved food. I've always loved to cook. I remember growing up, I used to watch Julia Child on television. Dinner time, I would always kind of grab stuff and try to cook the family dinner or cook dinner myself. The first job after college, I did what a lot of MBA students do. I went to a consulting firm, so I worked for Booz Allen for a couple of years. But I've always had this creative streak in me. Right before business school, I went to cooking school. I went to the Cordon Bleu for the summer, and that was just an amazing experience. Living in Paris, first of all, second, cooking, just eating the amazing food in Paris, so that was just terrific. That passion for food, for cooking, for entertaining, for having people over, just continued on.
Hearing about that passion, one can almost imagine a straight line from this farm to this farmer's market. But life doesn't usually happen that way, and in Calvin's case, it didn't.
It was definitely a struggle of trying to find, how do I kind of find this passion within my workplace. I don't think my path was very linear. I've kind of dabbled in a lot of industries, a lot of positions, worked in Hollywood, worked as a recruiter, worked in retail. But the common thread through all these jobs was that I love working with people. Our mission at Bi-rite is creating community through food. So even though I'm in the food business, it's really about connecting people. And at the very heart of it, I think that's most in alignment with my values.
Therein lies the other important aspect of Calvin's story, which didn't become apparent until years later: hiring and managing people. Today, it supports the other pillar of Bi-rite's business, customer service.
During business school, I connected with another GSB alum, Chip Conley, who founded Droit de Vivre Hotels. And after graduation, I went to be a general manager of one of his restaurants. And here was a newly minted MBA, and I was running a restaurant that employed almost 70 people, and I hadn't managed anyone in my life. Yes, I could run spreadsheets, I could do analysis, but managing people, that was a totally new thing. But it's been one of my most valuable experiences. It's something that if you're going to build a company, you're going to have to learn how to do. I also did a stint as an executive recruiter, and that was invaluable in my current position because it really taught me how to hire people. And it's a skill I teach to all the new managers at Bi-rite. We have Hiring 101. It's definitely putting on your psychologist hat on to find out what's at the heart of a person, what motivates someone, and how to assess someone's skills and compatibility for a position. And Bi-rite service is such a cornerstone to who we are that we really look for people who have customer service in their DNA. And we've learned how to, I think, pretty effectively assess and ascertain, does this person really live to serve? Does this person really have a desire and gets energized from serving others?
Then what about the entrepreneurial story? How did he become an owner in this business?
I don't know if I necessarily planned to have a business. The first store was started by my business partner, Sam McGanum, and actually his family owned the first store for 50 years. Sam took over from his dad and uncle 15 years ago, and Sam and I knew each other for almost 20 years, and we got together. Probably around 10 years ago, we started just doing some small projects, and then probably around 6-7 years ago, we started working in earnest about a venture that we could do together. We didn't necessarily go into our relationship thinking, okay, we're going to start another store, we're going to open a second Bi-rite. It evolved that way. There was just one day when we saw an opportunity in this spot to open a market, and we said, you know what, we've been talking about this, so we decided, okay, let's talk to the tenants, let's talk to the landlord, and that's how it began. From the drawing board, I think it was 3-4 years ago that we went on to the Viz, we toured this site, and over the last 2-3 years, it was endless meetings with contractors, architects, and with the management team. And then in the last few months before we opened this past March, it was intense hiring of 60-70 people to open the store. So we're about to embark on our 6-month anniversary, so it's been a wild journey so far.
How does becoming an owner change things, and what support has he had to rely upon?
The biggest difference in being an owner is the sense of responsibility that Sam and I feel to provide for our staff and their families, for the vendors that we buy goods from. It's definitely an emotional obligation that we both share. One of the challenges we faced in growing Bi-rite so rapidly over the last few years is understanding how to run a company that's now 200 plus employees versus 30 employees. And so it takes a different set of skills, a different, I think, mentality. In terms of support, we definitely reached out to our industry. We joined the industry association, and we're networking with other owners who run larger grocery stores, grocery organization. That's been extremely invaluable. And then, I'm constantly talking to classmates, other GSB alums, about other subjects such as marketing or HR, and trying to learn from them.
For students who do want to have a business one day, but wonder about the right timing or how to go about it, Calvin has this to say.
I don't think there's necessarily a perfect timeline. For some people, it might be right after business school. This is when you want to take the most risk. For some others, it might be later in life when there might be less risk, even though it's a startup, because you've got more established network. But I think it really depends on the business opportunity. It's such a personal decision. For me, it was finding the right team, finding the right partner. And so that was the major factor in deciding this is the right time to build a second market. I think as MBAs, we tend to be too overly analytical and want to plan out everything. And I remember taking a class in school, Creativity in Business, and we read Joseph Campbell's quote, follow your bliss. And I think I would encourage folks to really find what their bliss is. And then, as the quote goes, happiness will follow.
That bliss is not just a feel-good nice to have. For an entrepreneur, it's an existential necessity.
When you're building a company, whether it's from the ground up or expanding a company, you definitely have to have a sense of humor. You really have to get your hands dirty. You have to just get in there, roll up your sleeves. Only if you have that passion will you dive deep enough to really understand the business. And that goes with loving what you're doing, because it's a hard road. You spend so many hours at work, and you really have to look at work as not work. I mean, we enjoy what we do. Everyone on our team loves what they do. And we could think of a different company, a different thing to be doing.
Looking back at his own convoluted path, would he change anything? Would he straighten it out?
No, life should be about exploration. It's a journey, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a straight journey. I mean, I savored every kind of stop of the way, every chapter of my life. If I had anything to do over again, I would probably do more cooking, do more eating, do more exploration of the world.
Calvin's bliss is not only in his work and the cooking and eating that he hasn't had enough of. Someone is making it up for him.
My kids really enjoy eating ice cream. They're a little bit spoiled. My older son knows the difference between salted and unsalted butter. But it's great. I've got a great family, a great wife, two sons, and they definitely deal with my long hours. But they see what I love to do, and I try to incorporate them into the business. Jeremy and Jordan, their first jobs are going to be scooping ice cream.
And then the story will continue.